welcome back to the channel. I have over 600 miles on my Triumph Thruxton, and it's time to do the recommended 600 mile service. I printed out a check sheet right down from the Triumph website on how to check for different factors in the bike to make sure everything's working fine for the 600 mile service. I'll post that checklist link in the video, so that if you intend on doing any of this work yourself, you'll know exactly what to check. I have my special oil over here, the Ultra 1 Plus. It's made specifically for this type of engine, and also the Triumph filter and the crush ring for the drain bolt, and also some drain pan and tools, which I'll be showing you in this video. So stick around and watch how to change your oil and do the 600 mile service on your Triumph Thruxton. Well, here I am, ready to change the oil. Just warming up the motor, actually warming up the oil so that it flows completely out of the motor. This is the first oil change of the Triumph Thruxton since I purchased it. So it's a little over 600 miles, and the service interval requires a 600 mile oil change to stay within warranty limits. So I've got my oil ready and my tools ready, and we'll get to changing this oil. These are just some of the items you're going to need to change the oil. And the oil cap is right here where you're going to put your oil in once you've drained it. And you're going to need a oil pan, drain pan. You're going to need a oil filter wrench to remove your filter. You should hand tighten it when you reapply the filter, but we'll show you that. You're going to need an 8mm to get the drain bolt out. It's a hex wrench, a funnel, some oil, and a filter. Pretty much Triumph genuine parts, and a little crush washer to go on the drain bolt so that it prevents it from any oil seeping out once you've reapplied the bolt. So we'll get down into it and let the oil drain out of the motor, and then we'll proceed with removing the filter. You can see the oil filter right here and the drain plug right here. I'll remove the drain plug, allow the oil to drain into the pan, then remove the filter and reapply a new filter, put the plug back in, and we'll have it ready to have the new oil installed into the motor. Get the drain plug undone. Now this oil is hot, so I just let the plug drop right in with the oil so that I don't get it all over my hands. And that's how the oil comes out. Well, we're back to remove the filter. We let all that excess oil drip off so that you don't have to get any on yourself. Filter upside down. Just leave it right down there in the oil pan. We'll clean that up afterwards. And look at this. Alrighty. And we'll put the other oil filter back in. Now I'm just gonna put a little bit of film of oil around the rubber seal on the new filter and get it started up in there. It starts on very easily, threads on nicely. Yep. Now you want to make sure that it's nice and tight, but you don't want to over tighten it. Now what I use to tighten up my filter is a rubber band wrench. I don't like using the wrench because it gives it too much leverage, and with the rubber band wrench you can get a good feel for when it's tight enough. Yeah, I think we just got it snug enough right now. Yep, that's good. Of course, I've been doing this for quite a while on different vehicles, so I have a feel for the tightness of it. But if you're new at it, you tighten it nice and snug, but not to the point where it's never coming off. And it's good idea to check it after you've done it, after you run the motor also, to make sure there's no leaks. Well, now that we have the filter installed, this is your crush washer. It goes over the drain plug. So we have the drain plug in and the filter in and tight. Both are tight. And now it's time to add the new oil. Now we'll take the filler cap off. And the reason I had this bent funnel is because I had a K1200 RS BMW, and the filler was on the side of the motor. So I made that funnel bent to be able to fill the oil on that. But it'll work fine with this motorcycle also, even coming in down from the top. So I'm going to use this Ultra Plus 10W40. It's a JSO MA2 designation. Full synthetic oil. It's made for the 4-stroke motors like this, specifically motors with high compression and motorcycle motors. So I purchased this online, and it was delivered to me within 2 days, and it was very reasonably priced. So it was a good choice. And a lot of the sites that I've read about oil used in the motor recommend this oil. So I don't know, you can give it a try or look it up yourself and decide if it's the right oil for your motorcycle. As you can see, 4 liters fills it right to the line. I anticipate having to add just a little bit more once the engine gets running. And we'll wipe off any excess drips or anything that's down under here. Make sure it's all cleaned up and check. Make sure there's nothing seeping out. Oh, looks good. Then we'll put the filler cap back. Well, I went through the scheduled maintenance checklist and checked the brakes and cable operation and various checking the tightening of the different frame bolts and steering, making sure it's tight. Basically just checking the motorcycle over and air pressure. The main thing was to have the oil changed, and the next main thing is to have your chain properly tensioned. And I'm going to go through that right now and check the tension on the chain and then adjust it appropriately for operation. So you'll see how that's done right now. Well, you're definitely going to need a paddock stand. I don't recommend jacking up the motorcycle unless it's a motorcycle lift. Even then, the wheel should be elevated for chain tightening. You can get these little bobbles here to screw right into the swing arm of the Triumph Thruxton, and then the paddock stand can be attached right underneath there, and very easy to get the bike elevated, and you can adjust your chain, you can clean your chain a lot more safely and efficiently. You're also going to need a 12 and a 13 inch opened end for the adjustment screws, a 27 millimeter socket for the nut at the end of the axle. So, and I like to use my micrometer to do the adjustment of the distance between the axle and the adjustment blocks on the swing arm. So we'll get to it and adjust the chain. First thing we'll do is loosen up the nut. Doesn't have to be backed all the way out, just loosened. And then you have to loosen up the lock nut that's on the tightening bolt. And that's to be done on both sides. And you take your 12 millimeter and you want to back the axle backwards. I usually do one turn at a time on each side, and then check the chain for tension. You want about just an inch of upward and downward play. And it's almost there. Brand new chain wears out a little bit. It stretches, so it's a good idea, even though it is brand new, to check the tension on it to make sure that the stretching of it. There we go. That's perfect right there. Yep. Now I just have to measure and make sure that the axle is aligned. So I can measure this right here, this gap. And I got 18.16. Okay, so this one has to be changed just slightly. There are some little impressions here that you can follow also on the swing arm. Little dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots, just approaching the 5th dot. And that is just right on both of them. 17.4 millimeters on both sides. And the chain is got the right amount of tension, about an inch play in back and forth. So the next step now is to retighten the nut. Now it's all that's left after snugging that up is torquing it to 85 foot-pounds or 110 newton meters, and then we'll make sure we tighten up the lock adjustment bolts, and it'll be all set, ready to ride some more miles. There we go, got the click, and that's the right torque. Well, I got it off its paddock stand and completed the 600-mile scheduled maintenance check. The bike is now ready to roll.